You are the stupidest mistake I ever made. Those were the last words my father said to me before giving me 1 hour to pack my life. 9 years later, I'm a millionaire, and he's at my gate begging for help. He forgot one thing: I have a long memory. My father looked me dead in the eyes and said I was the stupidest mistake he ever made. He said I should take my pregnancy and get out of his house. He gave me 1 hour to pack 21 years of my life into whatever I could carry. And my mother? She just sat there at the dinner table, staring at her mashed potatoes like they held the secrets of the universe. 9 years later, I was standing in my home office looking out at my 6-acre estate in Ridgewood, New Jersey, when my security team called. There was an older couple at my gate. They said they were my parents. And for the first time in almost a decade, I smiled, thinking about Gerald and Constance Hall. Because the stupid mistake they threw away? She was about to decide if they were even worth the conversation. My name is Phoenix Hall. I was 21 years old when my world collapsed, and I need to tell you how I built a new one from the wreckage. Growing up in Ridgewood, I was never the daughter my father wanted. Gerald Hall owned a mid-sized construction company, and from the moment I was born, he made his disappointment clear. He wanted a son. He got me instead. So he decided to pretend the difference didn't exist. While other girls my age were learning to braid hair and pick out prom dresses, I was learning to change tires in our garage, spending summers hauling materials at his construction sites, and playing softball even though I secretly wanted to take dance classes. My father had a plan for me, you see. I was going to be the son he never had. I was going to take over Hall Construction and continue his legacy. The fact that I was a girl was just an inconvenience he chose to ignore. I got pretty good at ignoring it too. I learned to swallow my feelings, to perform, to achieve. I studied business at Rutgers because that's what he expected. I got straight A's because anything less meant a lecture about wasted potential. My mother, Constance, was a different kind of problem. She wasn't cruel, she was just absent in every way that mattered. She floated through our house like a ghost, never disagreeing with my father, never standing up for me, never making a single wave. I later realized she had simply made her choice a long time ago. Comfort over courage. Then I met Tyler Webb. Looking back now, I should have known that any man whose smile could convince you the sky was green was probably lying about the color of everything else too. But I was 21 and desperate to be loved by someone who actually saw me as a woman. He was a handsome 24-year-old pharmaceutical sales rep. When he started talking about our future, marriage, kids, a house with a white picket fence, I believed every single word. 8 months into our relationship, I found out I was pregnant. Tyler seemed happy. He talked about baby names and nursery colors. I let myself believe him. That was my first mistake. Tyler started getting distant. Busy with work, traveling more. I pushed down my worries. My second mistake was telling my parents. Tyler canceled showing up to the dinner last minute. So I sat alone across from Gerald and Constance Hall and said the words that would change everything. My father's face went through confusion, disbelief, and then something cold and hard settled into his features. Gerald didn't yell at first. He spoke in a quiet, controlled voice about how I was supposed to take over the company and how an unmarried pregnant daughter would destroy his reputation. Then he stood up so fast his chair crashed. He said I was just a stupid mistake from his past. He told me to get out. I looked at my mother, begging her to defend me. She just stared at her mashed potatoes. I packed 2 suitcases. My mother didn't come to my room. I walked out the front door and never looked back. In my car, I called Tyler. No answer. Voicemail. I texted him that my father kicked me out and I needed him. 3 hours later, his message came through, 6 words. I can't do this. I'm sorry. Then he blocked me. The next morning, I drove to his apartment. A woman answered the door. Her name was Lauren, and she had been engaged to Tyler Webb for 2 years. I was the other woman. Tyler appeared behind her and the mask finally came off. He looked at me like I was a mess he needed to clean up. He told me to handle my problem and shut the door in my face. So there I was, 21, pregnant, disowned, and dumped. I had $847 in my savings account. My father had already poisoned the well with every relative. My aunt tried to send money, but Gerald threatened to cut her off. Even my mother managed to sneak me $500, but he took away her credit cards as punishment. I found a room in a boarding house in Newark. It smelled like mildew, but it was $60 a week. I worked 3 jobs: bakery at 4 a.m., dry cleaner in the afternoon, call center at night. At 6 months pregnant, I collapsed at the call center. The doctor said I was killing myself and the baby. I quit 2 jobs and survived on food stamps. My daughter was born in April. I named her Iris, after the flower and the goddess of rainbows, because she was the only color left in my gray world. No family came. Just me. I held her and promised she would never know what it felt like to be unwanted. My father told everyone in Ridgewood I was troubled and making poor choices. People avoided me. I was cropped out of every family photo. I wrote my mother a letter, begging her to meet Iris. 2 weeks later, she replied with 1 paragraph: my father thought it was best if they moved on. She said she was sorry. Sorry was a weak, useless word. On Iris's first birthday, we ate discounted cake. But her smile shifted something in me. I realized I could spend my life drowning in resentment, or I could build something so big his opinion became irrelevant. The turning point was Miriam Castellanos, a 68-year-old woman running a property management company. I got an entry-level job. Miriam noticed my hunger. She taught me real estate. I realized I had a gift for seeing potential in neglected properties. My first success was convincing a landlord not to evict me by fixing the building's mailboxes myself. I got my real estate license while working full-time. I failed the first practice exam, cried, then studied harder. My first sale was a tiny condo nobody wanted. I staged it, baked cookies, and it sold in 3 weeks. My commission was 3,200 美元. Miriam promoted me. When Iris was 3, she asked why we didn't have a backyard. I promised her someday we would have the biggest one in New Jersey. I launched Phoenix Rise Properties. My specialty became transforming neglected buildings. My first major project in Jersey City netted me $1.2 million in profit. 8 years after being destitute, I was a millionaire. Not family money. Mine. I met Russell Okonkwo, an architect, at a conference. He was patient and consistent. It took years for me to trust him, but he proved himself through actions. By the time Iris was 8, we were officially together. I heard whispers that Hall Construction was crumbling. Gerald had overextended and taken bad loans. They stopped going on vacations. I felt nothing, no satisfaction, no pity. Then I saw the listing for Thornfield Estate in Ridgewood. 8 million asking price. It was 3 miles from my parents' house. I bought it. It was practical for Iris's school, but also poetic justice. We moved in 2 weeks before Iris's 9th birthday. The rumor spread. Constance found out from her bridge club. Gerald realized the daughter he threw away was now living in a house he could never afford. He researched me obsessively and realized his mistake. That Saturday morning, they showed up at my gate. I made them wait 47 minutes. When I walked down to the gate, Gerald looked aged and stressed. Constance looked frail. Gerald tried to act fatherly, talking about misunderstandings and water under the bridge. He claimed he was proud of me. I let him finish. Then I spoke. I didn't yell. I felt calm. I reminded him he called me a mistake. I reminded my mother she chose comfort over her grandchild. Gerald's facade cracked. He admitted the company was bankrupt and they were about to lose their house. He said I had to help them because they were my parents. I told him he refused to be my father when I needed him, so I wouldn't help him now. The debt was settled the moment I walked out his door 9 years ago. Constance asked to see Iris just once. I looked at my daughter playing happily with Russell and his son. I realized she didn't need to know these people who made her mother feel worthless. I told Constance she had the right to choose her husband over me, and this was my choice. Gerald tried anger, then guilt. It didn't work. They left in their old car. Iris ran up and asked who they were. I told her, nobody important. That evening we had dinner in the garden. Iris showed Russell a drawing of our family, me, her. Russell and his son. I looked at the life I built, the home paid for with my own money. Not a single piece came from Gerald or Constance Hall. Those who throw away their children don't get to claim their success. I rose from the ashes because I had to. My parents never even tried to strike the match. If you were Phoenix, would you have let the mother see Iris just once? Or did they deserve to be cut off completely? Let me know in the comments.